So hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Oluwa Bukola Ajayi and welcome back to the part 2 of everything it is you need to know about baking. So if you've not watched the part 1, I advise you go watch the part 1 for you to understand what it is I've been discussing before I dropped this video. So this is the part 2 of everything it is you need to know about baking. Alright, so now I'm going to be treating the basic ingredients and things we use in baking. But before I do that, if you have not subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Please kindly click the subscribe button. Do not forget to turn on the notification bell, and I definitely want to read from you. I love to read from you, so please, I would love to read from you in the comment section. Okay, so the part 2 of everything it is you need to know about baking is going to be treating the basics when it comes to our ingredients. So what first thing first, drum roll, ging 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 ging, we're going to be doing butter. Fats, let me just use the word fats. You know, there are different types of fats. Like I say, when I travel to teach, or even when I teach my students in the bakery, there are different types of fats, and the higher the fat consistency in the fat it is you're using, the richer it is what you're baking. So one, fat. Let's treat the general one everybody knows, butter. Butter is an high level fat. When I mean high level fat, but not as high even as vegetable shortening. Can you see that vegetable shortening is even higher in richness and everything than fat? But fat is most commonly used in baking the world over, but in Africa and especially Nigeria, we use more of margarine. Okay, so fats, butter. So when you use butter to bake, you know the taste is definitely going to be rich. Rich. When I mean rich, it's going to be rich. Then when you mix butter and vegetable shortening together in any recipe, there's going to be this exalted taste. That means you're making a premium cake, or you're making a premium pastry. You know, when you begin to use vegetable shortening and butter together, or lard and butter together, you're mixing it together. Definitely you want what? You want premium taste. So that means that if you're not a professional baker, you love good things, and if you're a professional baker, that means you have premium clients. It's as simple as that. Okay, so butter is high fat. So when you use butter for anything, pastries, for cake, yes, you're living the life. So when you use vegetable shortening as well, but most times we can't use vegetable shortening alone to bake because it almost has zero taste. So you want to use vegetable shortening, you want to mix it with butter, and the same thing applies when you're using lard, except that you're using lard to make pastry dough. If you're not using it for pastry dough, I advise you add a little bit of butter to it so that you can enhance the taste. So butter is rich in taste, is rich in fat, is rich because it's made from dairy. So it is super rich. But for those who are on weight loss, who are dieting and all, they will tell you they don't want butter because of the animal content in it, because it's from dairy, and such persons will always want to opt for margarine. Okay, yeah, so in modern times, margarine have been so upgraded that you just get nothing but the very best when it comes to margarine these days, and that is the reason why I always tell people to use Tarona margarine. Tarona margarine is your go-to margarine to use if you want margarine, especially if you live in Nigeria. Okay, so for margarine is plant-based, and margarine is also quite rich. Margarine is rich. When I mean rich, and the reason why we love Tarona margarine in Nigeria is because Tarona margarine is European blend, like European styled. You know, it's almost like butter. When you touch it, when you eat it, when you use it, it just gives you this amazing result it is you want to get. And that is the reason why we love Tarona margarine. So when you use margarine, the taste is also very nice. It's plant-based. There are no animal, fats in it. Nothing. It's just exclusively plant-based. It is rich in taste. So when you bake something with butter, the taste is different from when you bake something with margarine. Similar taste, but it's different in taste, it's different in texture. It is different in taste, it is different in texture, it is different in the shelf life. So when you put a butter-based cake in the fridge, and you bring it out, a well-baked butter-based, because you can also use butter to bake and it's still hard, is still supposed to maintain its richness and its softness, isn't it? When you put a margarine-based cake in the fridge, the texture is different from that of butter. So these things differs when it comes to baking. Then when you now begin to go to the way of oil, cooking oil, kaluna oil, groundnut oil, vegetable oil, when you begin to use cooking oil to bake, in taste and in texture is quite different. And that is the reason why I personally do not advise that you use cooking oil to make maybe birthday cakes, wedding cakes. I really don't advise it. If you need to use cooking oil alone, I advise you mix it with either butter or margarine, just to enhance the taste of the cooking oil. Cooking oil on its own is quite bland. So when I taste cakes baked with cooking oil, I really mostly don't enjoy it. The only time I enjoy cakes baked with cooking oil was when they are dessert cakes. So I always advise you use cooking oil to make your dessert cakes because of the texture. Cooking oil, when you use cooking oil to bake and you bake it right, the cake is going to come out soft, it's going to come out super moist, it's going to come out very, very shining and tender. So I always advise we use cooking oil for more of dessert cakes than birthday cakes and wedding cakes where you're not serving with any frosting, except you're adding frosting or something to that cake. I don't want to just eat a plain cake that was baked from cooking oil, because cooking oil has on its own almost zero taste. So the higher the fat you use in baking, the better the result in terms of taste and texture and even shelf life. So butter, lard, vegetable shortening, margarine, cooking oil, and other forms of fat out there I've never tried, but out there and doing great. Okay, so from butter we move on to eggs. When it comes to your egg, I tell people there are two parts to egg, isn't it? We all know that the white and for the layman, there are more than two parts to egg. I think about 4 parts to an egg. To an egg, there are about 4 parts, but to a layman, 2 parts to every egg. Okay, fine. The egg yolk and the egg white. These two parts of the egg serves 2 different functions entirely. So like I always tell people, when you see a recipe that calls for egg whites only, and it tells you to beat the egg whites before folding it into the cake, or even if the egg yolk is there but it's telling you to separate egg yolk from egg whites, then beat the egg white separately, then unfold it into the cake. What the person who created that recipe is simply trying to achieve, the person is simply trying to achieve a sponge cake. So any recipe you see that calls for you to separate your egg whites from the egg yolk and activate the egg white by beating it before folding it into the batter, know that the texture of that cake is going to be what? It's going to be a sponge cake texture. Please note that. Then the egg white on its own is a rising agent. So that's the reason why you see some recipes that tells you to beat the egg white and fold it into the batter, and those recipes have no external rising agents such as baking powder or yeast. They are simply telling you that the rising agent of the egg white is enough to let the cake leaven up. So if that alone is a leavening agent, is going to let the cake rise on its own without any other alternative form of rising agent. So some recipes will tell you no baking powder, no yeast, nothing. Just activate the egg white, fold it in, and you are good to go. Okay, then for the egg yolk, I tell people the egg yolk is a moisturizer. It's almost like when you're in Harmattan and you need to moisturize your skin. You need to make your skin oily, you need to make your skin nice, you need to make your skin moist. That is what the egg yolk does in cakes. So what does it do in cake? It helps to make your cake moist. It helps to change the color of your cake, because it has its own natural color. So it helps to change the color of your cake. So that's the reason why when you're baking vanilla cake, some vanilla cakes you bake will come out very white, some will come out a little bit yellowish, because it depends on the color of the egg yolk in the egg it is you've used in baking the cake. So the egg white serves a different purpose, the egg yolk serves a different purpose. So when you see any recipe that calls for 6 egg yolks, 4 egg whites, what they are simply telling you is that they want to make a dense cake. They don't want the cake to be too spongy. They do not want the cake to be too spongy, so they want more of the egg yolk and a little of the egg white. Because when you have more egg whites in the cake and you add, so when you now see a recipe that calls for more egg whites, like 4 egg whites, 2 egg yolk, but they're not telling you to beat and activate the egg whites. What they are simply telling you that they want a cake that is a little bit dense. So when there is more egg white, the cake is a little bit dense. When there is more egg yolk, the cake is softer and is moist. So please take note of that. Egg yolk is the moisturizer, egg white is a rising agent. More egg yolk simply means that you want a very moist cake. More egg white that is beaten and activated means that you want a spongy texture cake. Oh, I hope I got that right, and I hope I did not confuse you. Okay, so from that we're going to be moving on to the flavor. There are different types of flavor. You can always make your own flavor. What does flavor does in cake? Most times when you use artificial flavoring, you really can't taste it. Sorry to say, you really can't taste. You do more of perceiving than tasting. When you use the bean, like when you use fresh vanilla from the vanilla pod, you can taste the vanilla. Like it is so super good. So you can always make your own flavors at home. Like for the vanilla, you can always buy your vanilla pod, soak it in alcohol and all, and keep and store, use after like 6 months or thereabouts, and all. But I always prefer natural flavorings. Natural flavors in terms of, if I want to make a pineapple cake, I want to crush pineapple and put it in that cake because I want to taste it. Then when I add the extract, then I perceive it through the extract, and I taste it through the pineapple in the cake. Same with strawberries, same with any other form of cake. But the truth be told, most times we don't have the leisure of going around getting fresh fruits to crush and add it into the batter. We use the extracts. But like I said, extracts most times really don't do much justice to your cakes. Just get more of the aroma than the taste, and most are quite bitter. So please always ensure that you mix your flavors properly into the cake before you start to bake. And the most easiest flavor to work with when you are not sure of the flavor to add into the recipe is vanilla. Vanilla pairs with almost everything. Vanilla flavor pairs with almost everything. These days you get the dark vanilla, the dark colors. You get the clear vanilla, whichever works for you, fine and good. I prefer the one with the dark color because I believe that the vanilla bean itself is dark in color. So I want to believe that the one that is clear has kind of like been tampered with. But you never can tell. Whichever works for you, fine and good. So what it does is it helps you to flavor your cakes. It helps you to smell better. And when you don't add flavor to cakes and you bake the cake, after a few days, like a day or 2 or 3, when you bite into that cake, for someone like me who has a strong sense of smell, I perceive the egg. That's why for some cakes you bite into, you just perceive the egg. Probably the baker forgot to add flavor, because we've all been there. I've baked quite a number of cakes I forgot to add flavor. Story for another day. Okay, so aside the flavor, what else are we adding into the cake? We're adding the flour. Yes, and I think I said a whole lot in the part 1 of this about flour. Plus, so you want to go back and watch that video, because I'm not going to be repeating myself. So for flour, you don't want to activate the gluten, you don't want to do this, you don't want to do that. Go back and watch the part 1 of the video so that you understand everything it is you need to know when it comes to flour. That is very, very important, because you don't want a strong cake. You don't want a cake that comes out looking like olumaro. But in terms of when it comes to flour in baking, flour is like the major dry ingredient you have in your batter. That is like the major, at times, most times, oftentimes, the only dry ingredient you have in your batter. So that is one thing that to me sounds like a king when it comes to baking. So if you don't treat your flour right, you're in trouble. If you don't treat flour right in baking, you are in trouble. The flour can make or mar whatever it is you're baking. So other things again we add to our cakes will be fruits and all. Before you add fruit, don't just go crazy, just go into the market, just begin to buy dry fruits like cashew nuts, like walnuts, like almond nuts, and just dates and all, and just begin to pour it into. I made that mistake when I started baking. Oh my god, I love mixed fruits in vanilla cake, so I always add mixed fruits. So any vanilla cake I'm making, I've scooped out mixed fruit, I've poured it into the batter, I've mixed it together, I've baked it and all. And after a few days, my customers will call me that the cake has gone bad. And I'm always so angry that I baked this cake right. What was I doing wrong? I never knew I was supposed to add my fresh fruit like that in its raw form. The mixed fruits just directly from the pack and just put it into the vanilla cake. I never knew I was not meant to do that. So if you also want to know how you should, handle your nuts, your fruits and everything, your mixed fruits and all, how to put it into the batter and all, go scroll down the channel and watch a video with the topic everything you need to know about fruit cake. When you watch that video, how it is you should handle your fruits, your nuts and everything before adding it into your cake batter. Yes, you need to go and watch that video. Very, very, very important video. Okay, so this flour we've spoken about. I think we've spoken about the basics when it comes to baking, and most importantly, when you're baking, I'm pleading with you that you should bake with love. Bake with love. Love is that secret ingredient. If you don't love baking, you just can't fake it. If you do not love baking, you just can't fake it. Baking is a process. Like some persons will say, there's chemistry in baking, because this is you activating all the natural chemicals, it is good chemicals this time. It is God created for mankind, for the consumption of mankind. Now we are activating all these chemicals. We are causing a chemical reaction. So when you are causing this chemical reaction, you want to cause it the right way, you know. So love your ingredients, and also the type of baking pans you use. Very, very important. Check your baking pans. Don't just use any type of baking pans. If the baking pan is beginning to rust, I advise you discard. If it's beginning to lose shape, I advise you discard. For your baking pans, I advise you also buy baking paper. And please note, baking paper is different from wax paper. Oh my god, you don't want to burn down someone's house. So baking paper is different from wax paper. So you can say you want baking paper or you want parchment paper, you know, but please don't go and buy wax paper. I know some bakers have made that mistake. I have never done that because I don't want to burn down anybody's house. So please bake with love. Love is that secret ingredient. I hope I've been able to do justice to this. Hopefully, if there are any other topics it is you want me to treat when it comes to baking, maybe I missed, you know, unintentionally, kindly drop it down in the comments. I'll be reading through the comments. If there's any topic it is you want me to treat, any questions it is you have, drop it in the comment section. I got most of this topic things it is I'm treating today just from the comment section, so I would also love to read from you. Don't forget to share, and like I said, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much, and see you guys later. Bye.